So this is the history of the Church of the Mormon Church, Church of Latter-day Saints. So there's this thing back in the 1800s called the Oath of Vengeance. It's from 1845 to 1930. Here's a quote from it. "You and each of you do covenant and promise that you will pray and never cease to pray to the Almighty God to avenge the blood of the prophets upon this nation, and that you will teach the same to your children and your children's children unto the third and fourth generation." Participants swore an oath to pray for God to avenge the blood of prophets Joseph Smith and Hiram, who were assassinated in 1844. Alright. This comes from the diary of Heber C. Kimball on the 21st of December, 1845. "In the temple, Heber had covenanted and will never rest until those men who killed Joseph and Hiram have been wiped off the earth. Increase and Maria von Dusen. We were required to kneel at this altar, where we have an oath administered to us to this effect, that we will avenge the blood of Joseph Smith on this nation and teach our children the same. They tell us that the nation has winked at the abuse of the persecution of Mormons and the murder of the prophet in particular. Therefore the Lord is displeased with the nation and means to destroy it, and this is the excuse for forming this league or conspiracy. Anna Elise Webb Young, we swore that we would use every exhortation to avenge the death of our prophet Joseph Smith and his brother Hiram upon the Gentile race, and to teach our children to foster the spirit of revenge also. Mrs. G.H.R. We were then made to swear the avenge the deaths of Joseph Smith the martyr, together with that of his brother Hiram, on this American nation, and that we would teach our children and our children's children to do so. The penalty for this grip and oath was disembowelment. Abraham H. Cannon. He was an apostle. About 4:30 p.m., this meeting adjourned and was followed by the meeting of President Woodruff Cannon and Smith, Brose, Lyman, and Grant. And speaking of the recent examination before Judge Anderson, father said that he understood when he had his endowments in Nauvoo that he took an oath against the murderers of prophet Joseph as well as the other prophets, and if he had ever met any of those who had taken a hand in the massacre, he would undoubtedly have attempted to avenge the blood of the martyrs. John Bond. The second one I was put under was to avenge the blood of the prophets against the government of the United States. Teach to my children and my children's children from generation to generation and everlasting keep them after them. The penalty, I believe, was that the heart or the bowels will be torn out, something to that effect, so far as my memory will carry me. Bishop Andrew Cannon. Well, as near as I can remember, I was sworn to avenge the blood of the prophets. That was understood indirectly to refer to Joseph Smith. The understanding was that any parties who were guilty or consented to their death, as near I understand it, J. H. Wallace Sr., that you and each of you will never cease to importune high heaven for vengeance upon this nation of the blood of the prophets who have been slain. August W. Lundstrom, 1904. We and each of us solemnly covenant and promise that we shall seek God to avenge the blood of Joseph Smith upon this nation. There is something more added, but that is all I can remember verbatim. That is the essential part. It was regarded to teach our children's children and children's children to the last generation to the same effect. Annie Hamilton. When I remember they told me to pray, and I never ceased to pray, to get revenge on the blood of prophets on this nation, and also teach it to my children and my children's children. It honestly just blows my mind that this is even, the history of this church, just every time I look into it, every time I read the book, I'm sorry, Latter-day Saints, I love you guys, but you get to the top of that organization and there's just evil and evil and evil. Evil.